Hey guys, welcome to Juicy Tea, where I read out the best stories on Reddit, so you don't have to. The funny, shocking, and satisfyingly juicy. Today's video is Who's in the Wrong Wednesday, where you get to decide who's right and who's wrong. This first post comes from the BestofRedditorUpdates subreddit, posted by Apprehensiveyou913. Am I the a-hole if I uninvite my sister-in-law who's in love with my husband? I, 32 female, want to uninvite my sister-in-law, 30 female, let's call her Tina, from my baby shower because I think she's in love with my husband. My husband, 33 male, and I met each other at a ski lodge 9 years ago. I was with my young daughter and a female friend and her child. My husband was with his 2 brothers, 3 sisters, and a few friends. There was a singing competition and we were both set up by our friends to enter it. Sparks flew during our duet, and the rest is history. Back to our first meeting. This was the first time I caught on to Tina's disturbing behaviour. After the singing competition, he and I went to a cafe to chat. His middle sister Tina, who was adopted at birth, came storming up to us and demanded that he come back to the group. She never looked at me and whined when he shut her down. She ran off crying and apparently took her sister's room keycards and locked them out, so they had to stay with friends in their room. Fast forward to when we bought a house together. We had a housewarming and invited family and close friends. Tina showed up in a sexy club outfit. She ignored me the entire time and hung all over my husband, boyfriend at the time. She kept recalling tales of them from when they were little and how close they were. She'd kiss him on the cheek, hug him, and touch his arm while laughing. He was visibly uncomfortable, so I stepped in. At first I thought she just had a crush on him, but the way she was acting, it looked like she was the girlfriend and not me. She was going around telling everyone that he used to say that he never wanted to have kids, and now he's playing daddy to my daughter. One of my friends said she thought Tina was weird for talking about how hot his modelling photos were from when he did print work back in college, and that her favourite photo was of them at the beach in Hawaii during a family vacation a few years back. The most bizarre thing she told people was that he'd never dated a woman of colour before, and now all of a sudden he's in love. It's only bizarre to me because she's biracial, so I don't know why this would bother her, unless she's jealous of me because she wished to be me. Then things went south at the end of the night when he got down on one knee and proposed to me. She started crying and ran to the restroom. Their dad went to check on her and then drove her home. I knew exactly why she was upset, but my husband always assumed that she was upset because she'd never had healthy relationships. After that tantrum, she skipped our wedding, baby shower, our children's birthday parties, and other family events that we attended. I was fine extending invitations because I knew she wasn't going to show up. She had some sort of mental breakdown and was in and out of treatment for years. Now I have to say, I wish nothing but the best for her, and I don't know what kind of issues she's going through, but I don't want her disturbing our peace. I'm currently pregnant and our baby shower is at the end of this month. I'm having it a few months early because I'm at risk of going into early labour, like I did with my other 2 children. My mother-in-law called to RSVP and stated that Tina would be riding with them, and if it was okay if she brought her new boyfriend. I was surprised because we hadn't seen her in years, but I was apprehensive to agree. Eventually, I did agree and hoped that she'd resolved whatever caused her so much distress when she was around my family. Well, it took all of 24 hours for her to start her nonsense. She texted my husband paragraphs at 3 AM telling him how she felt about our family. First, she went on to say how much she missed them being close and how I came in and destroyed their close relationship when I barely said 50 words to her in 9 years. She asked him if he was happy with his life because, again, he used to say that he never wanted kids or to get married. She then asked if he thought about her in all this time, and if he could meet up with her before the shower and talk alone, face to face. That was the last straw for me. I asked my husband if he knew that she was in love with him, and he just shrugged and said he didn't doubt it. Apparently, when she was 11, she used to ask if they could cuddle and kiss, and he said no. He admits that her behaviour since then has always been weird and dramatic, but he didn't pay her much attention then because there was many siblings and they all hung out together. I asked him if he could uninvite her and this new boyfriend because I think she's going to bring drama to our baby shower. He said he wants to talk to his parents first to see what kind of state she's been in, but I know in my gut she's ready to ruin our day with her theatrics. So, am I the a-hole for wanting to uninvite her to our baby shower? Edit. For those of you who are wondering if anything intimate ever happened between them, the answer is no. I'm 100% certain of this. He has a total of 3 adopted siblings, 2 female, 1 male. He said he sees them as blood-related siblings because 3 of them were adopted at birth and they're all within 1 to 3 years of each other. He said he chooses to ignore her because she's always been dramatic. He's always worried about her physical safety because she suffered from depression as long as he can remember, so he tries to handle things gently. He's not opposed to uninviting her, but he does want to know what his parents think about her mental state and whether she can behave. Update 2. This will be my last update since my husband and I have decided that we need to completely remove Tina's drama so we can focus on having a healthy pregnancy and family life. My husband ran home because Tina blew up his phone, texting and calling. Now, my husband always texts or calls me on his lunch break to check on me, even before the pregnancy, so I knew something was wrong when he didn't. Since he left Tina on red, she started calling and sending a slew of unwarranted and degrading texts about me and our children, so basically Tina being Tina. He didn't run it by me, but he sent her a long paragraph which he showed me when he got home, basically telling her off and that he would rather never speak to her again than listen to her talk bad about our family. He told her she'd never be invited to any of our family functions and that she needed to check herself back into hospital if she thought their sibling relationship was ever closer than it actually was. He closed it by saying he would let the family know the reason she was uninvited and that he hoped she was seeing a therapist or would find one immediately. I'm not surprised at his response because the things she said pushed him to that breaking point. I think the worst thing she said was that my 2 miscarriages, which would have been our first child together, was caused because we don't actually belong together and that my body couldn't even carry our children to term. I expected her to bring this up, but I could tell it really hurt him, and that's why he didn't hold back from her. He then blocked her and told me he's changing our phone numbers. He called his parents and older sister, whom he's close with, and explained to them why she's never allowed to visit our house. He shared all their text exchanges, and they were mortified. He asked them to not share our address or new numbers with her. They assured us that none of them would share this information with her because she actually asked for his work schedule and mentioned driving up a day early to surprise him. My father-in-law had the most to say, and I get it, it's his baby girl, but he hadn't shared much information beforehand with anyone besides his wife. He said it's always known that she had a little crush on him, but after her outburst at our proposal years ago, they'd had a conversation about her behaviour, and she told him that she'd been keeping a diary about him since she was a teenager. She explained it was to process her emotions and to challenge negative thoughts. All I heard was that she wrote about him for years. So there's several journals in their home, probably enforcing her beliefs. Apparently, she only stayed away from my husband because my father-in-law kept her in check and was able to get her hospitalised several times for being a threat to herself. I don't know if all her issues stem from her unrequited love for him. Typing that made me feel nauseous, but I hope she gets the help she desperately needs. They told us they would deal with her and apologised for thinking that she'd resolved her issues. My in-laws are saints, and I thank them for believing us and for keeping her away for all these years. Luckily, she's living with them due to her issues, so they got to speak to her tomorrow morning. The older sister-in-law called me and told me she was really sorry. She was the one who set Tina and her new boyfriend up and suggested that she show him off at the baby shower, but admitted they'd only been dating for like 2 weeks. She sent the text that Tina sent to my husband to Tina's new boyfriend because that's one of her best guy friends and she wanted to protect him. So I'm pretty sure they're not a thing anymore. I'm kind of nervous how Tina will deal with 2 rejections so close together. The 2 sisters aren't that close, and she was audibly disgusted to find out that her sister had been pining for their brother all these years. She has a theory though. She thinks it started with the older bio brother, Sean, because when Tina was little, she would follow Sean around all the time. He's older, so he went off to college abroad. Tina was about 10, and then he permanently moved to Europe. It seems like the crush transferred to my husband when Sean left. Sean hasn't been back in the States since he graduated high school, and no one really has any contact with him, so she said she can't call and ask him about it. I have to admit, I'm kinda curious and would be interested in hearing what Sean has to say, but I'm happy that our involvement in the whole thing is over. Someone pointed out that Tina is potentially dangerous and could hurt me or our children, and this really scared me. My husband's gonna upgrade our alarm system and purchase more cameras. I forgot to mention, we live about 5 hours away, so she'd really have to be going out of her way to show up here, if she somehow found out where we lived. So that's basically it. I also wanted to point out, for those who think that my husband was intimate with her at some point, which caused her erratic behaviour, if that was the case, she would have loved to throw that in my face over and over. Plus, a guilty man would have tried to silence her a long time ago to keep me from finding out. You don't have to trust him, but I do. Update 3. It's been quiet for a few weeks because Tina is currently receiving treatment. At first I thought it was going to be messy because she found out my husband's new number and texted him several times. Basically, it was Tina begging him to speak to her and how she misses the old days. She said she guesses our kids and I come before their old family and she understands if he doesn't answer her back. In my opinion, she was trying to guilt him into responding, but it backfired because he blocked her immediately, then showed me and forwarded it to his parents. I heard she's no longer in the facility receiving treatment, but my in-laws assured us we won't be hearing from her again. That answer is good enough for me. And our last post comes from the AmItheAsshole subreddit. Posted by Sad Consideration 702. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that her sister can't help us and needs to move out? My wife D, 28 female, and I, 27 male, have recently had our first baby, Armand, 4 months. It wasn't an easy delivery, but she's recovering, and we're both back to work. That's neither of our first choices, but it was necessary due to our financial situation. My wife has a sister, Celia, 21 female, who lives with their parents about 12 hours away. My wife and her sister are from a culture that heavily emphasizes intergenerational households and certain postpartum rituals. Because it was important to my wife to have family support, we agreed that Dee would come and stay with us for a bit to help out with the baby. I expected her to stay for a few weeks, but we're going on 4 months, and my wife and I recently got into an argument about how much longer she'd stay. Dee attends college virtually and does not have a job. She's home all day. She cooks, cleans, watches the baby, and is overall great. The only problem is, I want to be doing those things. Call it toxic masculinity, but when I imagined having a child, I thought it'd be us working together, not us and her sister. Celia has a bath waiting for my wife when she gets home, only takes her preferences into consideration when cooking meals, handles most of the night duties unless Armand needs to be fed. I've told her twice, please come wake me when the baby cries. She told me she won't do that unless I move to the guest bedroom because it's important for my wife to get rest. I told my wife I want her out of the house by the end of the month, but she thinks that's a terrible idea. Without Celia, we're entirely without support. I suggested 1 week on, 1 week off, until 6 months. But she says that's too long a drive to ask her sister to make. I feel like I never get a chance to be alone with my wife and child. Am I the a-hole? She has a bath ready for her when she gets home. Oh my god, her sister is a better husband than him, and he's so jealous. Personally, I think if he really thinks they can handle it alone, he should step up and try now, while the sister is still there to fall back on. I mean, his wife is still recovering from the difficult birth while going to work, so it'd be pretty much up to him to pull the weight if he insists on kicking the sister out. If he really thinks he can handle it, then tell the sister to stop cleaning and cooking, and he can take on that. Move to the guest bedroom and take care of night duties. Work out what they're going to do for childcare during the day while they're both at work because they're struggling financially to the point that his wife had to go back to work while still recovering. I think he has some sort of fluffy unicorn and rainbow idea about what looking after a newborn is really like, and when the novelty is gone, he'll miss the sister's help. She cooks, cleans, washes the baby, and even looks after night duties, yet he wants to get rid of her? This guy's insane. Remember, I post new content every day, so subscribe for more juicy tea.